if you're a silver stacker, you want to know when these buying opportunities come about. So I would say if you have the money, back the truck up right now. But if you look back historically, there are some coins that appear to be underpriced today compared to what they were 20 or 30 years ago.
What's up, you guys? It's Ocean here. Today's guest is the past president of PCGS. He's one of the top 10 most influential people in numismatics over the course of the past 60 years, as reported by CoinWorld. He now runs GermanCoins.com and the Numismatic Detective Agency. Welcome back to Silver Ocean's numismatic expert, Mr. Ron Guth.
Hey, Ocean, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me on again.
Thanks so much for being here. It's great to see you again. Today I'd like to pick your brain about numismatics, but let's start by addressing the elephant in the room, and that's silver spot price being way down. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the current silver market. Is this a time when stackers should be backing up the truck? Do you see a bigger drop coming, or do you think this is going to be short-lived? Or does it not even matter? Do you favor a more consistent buying strategy to dollar cost average?
I mean, this is a tremendous opportunity to buy right now. Whether you back the truck up or not, I'm not really sure, but there's a number of different things going on right now in the economy that are not good news for silver stackers. And that is, they came out with a jobs report that was better than expected. The Fed is talking about aggressively raising interest rates even faster and more frequently. And so what that does is it makes the treasury bonds more attractive because, for instance, right now you can get over 5% on a T-bill. And that's a safe, I mean, as long as the government is in place, that's a very safe bet, a much safer bet than speculating on anything else. And that has affected both the stock market, the bullion prices of silver and gold. So, but this is a very short-term thing. I mean, this is a photograph, a snapshot in time. But if you look at the long-term picture, it's not as rosy. I mean, we might have a lot of jobs being created right now, but down the road, I mean, we're talking about some very serious things that can impact the price of gold and silver dramatically, and that is the big debt that we have. The fact that at some point we are going to default on the debt. I mean, we just have to, unless you just keep printing money, which dilutes the value of the dollar and therefore makes gold and silver very attractive in the long term. So I would say if you have the money, back the truck up right now. If you don't, just maintain your buying strategy, your consistent strategy, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. When you opened your first coin shop in the 70s, I'm wondering, was your shop more based on bullion or numismatics? But did you see retail demand develop in terms of what your customers were buying when spot price had these big fluctuations like we're seeing today?
Sure. The coin shops in general are both bullion dealers and rare coin dealers. They are both excellent ways to make money. Just buying 90% sterling silver over the counter, you just basically make a small profit, but it's a big volume business. Numismatics is a different thing. You have to appeal to a collector who needs a particular coin at a particular moment. And so that's a little more variable in terms of predictability. But as far as coin shops go, they do both aspects, bullion and the rare coins. Now that shifts over time. Like for instance, when I was during the silver boom in 1979 to 1980, the focus was on bullion. I mean, everything in the news was about silver going up, up, up. It eventually hit $52 an ounce. And that's big news. And that got spread out to the entire public, and everybody started selling their stuff. I mean, they've been sitting on their sterling flatware. their coin collection for so long, and this was an opportunity for them to make a really big amount of money, and so they sold their coins. So in that regard, the coin shops were just overwhelmed with bullion business. Sure, the coin business was going on at the same time, but the focus shifted. It was no longer 50-50. It was like, 80% bullion, 20% rare coins.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that's the case right now with spot price being in the $20 range?
I don't think that. I think that it's really funny and ironic that most of the activity occurs when the price is really high. When silver goes down, I mean, it's in the news, but it's not, you're not blasted with, commercials saying, what's in your vault, go buy gold and silver, convert your Roth IRA to a numismatic IRA or a bullion IRA. That you don't hear that kind of news when silver is down. And that's the time when you need to hear it, because if you're a silver stacker, you want to know when these buying opportunities come about. But when silver and gold were like really, really high, it was all in the news. And people were just saying, oh, I've got to get in, before I'm locked out of the market or priced out of the market. And it's just ironic that people follow the news that way instead of reasonably thinking about what they're doing, and they go for the hype instead of the reasonableness.
Mm-hmm. During our last interview, you talked about being a numismatic investigator and how you discover provenance on some of the finest known coin examples. Would you talk about a couple of your big discoveries and what the history is behind some of these coins you've done research on?
Sure. I mean, every day I'm finding new connections between, let's say, an old auction catalog, an old auction appearance of a coin that is coming up, say, this year or just sold last year. There are, endless opportunities to reattach provenance or the prior ownership of a coin. So my favorite discoveries are when I can reconnect the Louis Eliasberg pedigree to a coin where for some reason it got stripped off. I really admire Eliasberg and what he did as a collector. And to me, it's fascinating that the pedigrees get stripped off, but it's also really wonderful when I can find a pedigree and reattach it. So to me, that's the thrill of the hunt. And whenever I find those things, it just really gets me excited.
Mm-hmm. And Eliasberg, of course, is the collector who we were talking about this on your live stream the other day called Pick My Brain on Wednesday nights. He's the collector that put together the complete set of U.S. coins, but of course with an asterisk, as you mentioned during that live stream.
Yes, he put together the most complete collection of U.S. coins ever assembled. And I mean, we're talking no one has come even close. I mean, there is a fellow today, Deloy Hansen, who is trying to duplicate what Eliasberg did, but he's still well short of the goal. I mean, I don't know exactly how many coins he needs, but let's say it's the last 10 or the last 20. Those are just killer stopper coins that are, multi-million-dollar coins. And, will he have the opportunity to get those? Yes. Sometimes we say to ourselves, like, for instance, Harry Bass was another big collector, and he had an 1870s $3 gold piece. Well, that coin he bought in 1982 when it sold as part of the Eliasberg collection. And then it was in his hands for decades thereafter and just sold last year, or was it earlier this year? So even though we think that, collections might be tied up in an institution or in a museum or in a strong hand collector, you just never know. If someone had told me 10 years ago that the 1870s $3 gold piece, which is unique, was going to come up for sale, I would have said, no way. I mean, it's in the A&A Museum, their headquarters museum in Colorado Springs. They're not going to sell it. But here it is. Circumstances change. The foundation that owned the coin decided that they wanted to use the money for charitable purposes, and so they decided to sell the collection. So you never know. So Deloy has opportunities all along to buy these coins, but it may be that a coin that he needs may not show up in his lifetime, which means that he may or may not be able to complete his goal.
Ron, you wrote the original Coin Collecting for Dummies book. I think we all remember those books with the yellow and black cover. What are some of the basics that aren't often talked about when it comes to numismatics?
I think for collectors, proper coin storage is very important. I mean, you can wreck your collection if you don't store it properly. The ways to buy and sell coins, there are many venues, and there's even more today. I mean, I wrote the book in 1999, I believe. Might be 2001, but I mean, that's ancient history for right now. And so much has changed. There are so many more venues. The internet has just, created all sorts of ways to buy and sell coins: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, these apps like Whatnot, eBay, all these venues. And some of those are little known, but very effective for either buying or selling coins. So it's important to know where to get them, where to sell them, how to store your coins. And then also, I think something that I've been pushing in recent years is build a relationship with an expert, with a dealer who can actually help you or mentor you in sorts, so that you can avoid the pitfalls that exist out there and save yourself a lot of money in the long run.
Those are great tips, Ron. Thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about current opportunities in the rare coin market. In my own research, I see potential in different areas of U.S. coinage. For example, certified gem mint state, Roosevelt and Mercury dimes, Franklin half dollars, and peace dollars. And then there's proofs, proof barber coinage, and even proof walkers and proof Mercury dimes. Which series or individual coins do you see as big opportunities in numismatics right now with potential to realize value appreciation?
A good question. Everybody likes to have like a little crystal ball to foresee the future. But if you look back historically, there are some coins that appear to be underpriced today compared to what they were 20 or 30 years ago. One of my favorite series is the classic United States commemoratives issued from 1892 to 1950s. And there are certain grades, certain types that are cheaper today than they were 20 years ago. And to me, that's insane, because these coins all have relatively low mintages compared to regular issue U.S. coins. And I would think that just a little increase in demand will make the prices jump up pretty significantly. But for some reason, I don't know why they have fallen out of favor. They're beautiful coins. They have tremendous varied designs. They generally come in really nice condition. They really weren't meant to circulate, so they're going to be mint state generally. And you can buy, MS-63 to MS-65 classic silver commemoratives. Most of them are half dollars, and they're just real bargains. You mentioned proof coinage. There are price points within the old classic proof coinage, like say a barber dime, where they're very affordable. At the high end, the super high end, the registry set grades, those prices are just astronomical, and they're just nutso in my mind. Not that they're not good deals, but they're so variable in the price. They can be worth $5,000 over here, and it could be worth $20,000 over here, depending on what kind of demand there is. But if you look at the lower tier coins, like say a Proof 63 or a Proof 64 or Proof 65, the prices are stable, and they're in my mind, they're relatively affordable today. So I think there's opportunities there. The key, if you buy any of those coins, is to just search out coins that are really nice for the grade. Buy the coin, not the holder. Make sure you're happy with the coin. and look for stuff that has good eye appeal, maybe some nice toning, and stay away from stuff that is, excessively hairlined or problematic or just has, negative eye appeal.
Hmm. What do you prefer in coins? Do you like toned coins or blast white examples?
It depends. I mean, Blast White, to me, Blast White is an original coin that has just blazing luster. There are white coins that have been dipped out and they just are sort of a little bit lackluster. And those are promoted as blast white coins when they're not. I mean, they're just not as beautiful and attractive. And this is where I say stick to eye appeal. When you see a blazing white Morgan dollar, like say an 1881 S, I mean, that is a stunning coin. It will blind you with its luster. And those are the kind of coins that you should put away. Personally, I prefer tone coins, but it has to be a certain type of toning. There are coins that almost anything other than gold will oxidize, and they develop this patina or this toning over time. And it could be, again, a negative color, which would be like a dull brown color on a silver dollar, or it can be, iridescent hues, blues, reds, greens on a silver dollar that just when you see it, you'll know it. And those are the kind of coins that you should go out and buy, and don't be afraid to pay a premium for them, because those are the coins that, if they blow you away, they're going to blow anybody away. So I recommend putting those kind of coins away.
That's a great tip. I've been looking at a lot of different toners, especially Morgan dollars lately, and some of them just have incredible toning, and there's all different kinds of toning patterns. Somewhere you can see that they may have been in a roll and the paper was folded over, or they have a sort of a crescent rainbow along one of the edges, or neon colors starting to develop. So there's really a lot of different types of patterns that make coin collecting really interesting when it comes to toners.
That's a good point. I do have a word of caution, though. Toning can be artificially applied to a coin. So if you're going to collect toners, make sure you learn from, let's say, a mentor that I mentioned before, someone that can teach you what proper, real toning is supposed to look like, because there are many deceptive pieces out there. One of the things that I see a lot are 2022 or 2023 silver eagles that have this, amazing, colorful toning on them. And I don't get how that can possibly be, because toning like that is something that develops over time. And I've heard that, people bake coins or they put chemicals on them, whatever. So I would be very wary of some toning. I mean, you just have to be careful about what you buy. Once you learn what original, beautiful toning looks like, then you can go crazy. Then you'll know, you will have taught yourself what it's supposed to look like, and then you can go out and identify it for yourself. Now, you mentioned, the different types of toning, and they occur for various reasons. The iridescent toning around the rim usually comes from it being in an album, the coin being in an album where the paper or the cardboard that holds it surrounds the coin, and the paper generally has a little bit of sulfur in it from the manufacturing process, and sulfur oxidizes the silver quite well and creates these beautiful colors. As long as it doesn't go on too long, if it's near sulfur for too long, it will actually burn the coin, and that's when the color goes from beautiful to attractive to to burnt. And so you want to make sure that if you have a toner, you get it away from any source of sulfur or any chemical. You want to keep them dry and clean, and they should maintain their color and their status forever.
What are your thoughts on collecting modern issues in high grade, modern U.S. coins in high grade?
Well, I can tell you from my own experience, I specialize in German coins, and I put together registry sets of the modern commemoratives. And this is stuff from, say, 1952 up to 2000. And when I was building it, there were no certified examples. I mean, I basically had to make every coin that I had. So, you know, instantly, most of my collection was unique top pop. It was the only one known in that grade, which is, a wonderful thing to say. But over the years, additional coins have been graded, and therefore there are coins that are better than mine now. And there are a lot more. The population has blown up for many of the coins that I had before. So where they used to be unique top pops, now they're like, second tier coins or second tier grades with high populations. So that's my one caveat for collecting modern coins. I think years and years ago when PCGS first started, Bruce Amspacher, who is one of the founders of PCGS, and David Hall, who was the founder and the president of PCGS, they got into a challenge where I think they said, for X amount of dollars, I want you to go out and put together a set of MS-66 Roosevelt dimes. Okay, which doesn't sound hard to do. Well, as it turned out, it was very difficult to do. And I think Bruce lost the challenge. I don't know that he was able to put together a complete set in the 66. If you look at the populations today of Roosevelt dimes and MS-66, it would be very easy to put together a set, today, and it wouldn't cost you that much money. But I guess my point is that there's a lot of overhang on the market. These are not necessarily rare coins. I mean, common coins in high grade are not necessarily rare. And the point is that there are a lot of coins out there in rolls and collections and bags that have never seen the grading services. So I would be very wary about spending a lot of money on a top pop coin, because it's highly possible that it could be beaten tomorrow by a better coin. You mentioned peace dollars as one of your favorite series. That's a different story. Yes, the populations can increase over time on those, but it's not like there's this huge supply of peace dollars sitting around waiting to be graded. These are coins that have been around for decades, almost a century now. Actually, a century for the peace dollar. 1921 was the first year. You're not going to have this, big, terrible overhang waiting to destroy your coins. Yes, new coins are being discovered and graded every day, but the overhang is not as dangerous as it is on the ultra modern coins.
We all love a coin with a story. Ron, would you give us an example of a trophy coin you've handled that just had an incredible story?
That's a good question. I do a lot of catalog descriptions for some of the auction houses. Like lately, I've been doing rosters of the condition census coins for many of the Bass coins, the Simpson coins that have come up, and some of the Tom Bender coins, which are all just, these phenomenal rarities and high grade, and they all have a story. When you're a cataloger for the major auction houses, your goal, your job is to tell the story in a positive light and just try to talk up the coin. So it's something I've been doing for a long time, written many thousands of stories about coins. The most difficult stories to write, of course, are trying to make an ugly coin sound attractive. That's a very difficult thing to do. But as far as stories go, I mean, I've handled a number of coins over the years, and I guess I could tell you the coin I lost the most money on and could have made the most money on was a 1797 half cent 1/1 variety that I purchased in 1981, I believe it was, and I paid $12,500 for it at auction. Well, this was right at the end of the silver boom. Everybody was flush with cash, and then of course silver and gold crashed. They died, and we got hit with a big tax bill the next year for all the money that we made in the previous year. Well, the market had died, and numismatics, in essence, was it stopped on a dime. There was very, very difficult to do business, very difficult to make money. So while we were rolling in money the year before, all of a sudden we weren't the next year, and we had this big tax bill come due for the previous year. So I had to sell this 1797 half cent. I sold it. I couldn't, the market had died, so I couldn't get anything better than 8,500. I sold it $4,000 loss. Well, that coin went to Tettenhorst, who was a big collector of half cents, and he put in his collection, and then his collection was sold several years ago, and that coin sold for I think it was $200,000 to $300,000. I mean, it was one of the highlights of the collection. And my little name is in the pedigree, the provenance in the catalog. Purchased from Ron Guth through Julian Liedman or whoever handled the transaction. And man, every time I see that, I go, oh my gosh, I wish I had been able to keep it. And I wish I'd been able to hold it for, 20 or 30, 40 years, which I probably wouldn't have done anyway. If the coin had gone up to 20,000, I probably would have sold it for 20. So I wasn't going to hold it forever because I'm a dealer, but still, that's the coin that, today I just sure wish I had it back.
That's incredible. Thanks for sharing that. So what's the latest at the Numismatic Detective Agency?
Lately, I've been, as I said, I've been doing a lot of work with Heritage just to get their stuff done. I think we're done there. Pretty much all of the Bass coins, not all of the Bass coins, but the Bass coins that were coming up in the Central States sale have all been taken care of. So there'll be more in the future. I get occasional calls from collectors who are buying trophy coins, and they want to go back a little bit. Most everybody can find a pedigree in recent years. There's good documentation for auction sales from 1994 to date. But anything prior to that, you really need to go to somebody like me who will do the research and go back and try to match it up with sales from 50, 100, 150 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Ron, thanks again. Thanks so much for your time. It was very informative, and it was a real pleasure talking to you again.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, and hopefully we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Stack white as the ocean.